I buck the system. I don't want mothers saying, put that mud down, stop doing that because you're gonna ruin your dress. You get dirty sometimes, who cares? You cannot do some of these things and keep your hair all nice. There's an African proverb that says, no one shows a child the sky. Growing up in South Side of Chicago, I was just like every other kid. I loved space, stars, and dinosaurs. I always knew I wanted to explore because it was so mysterious. Where did we come from? I think that's a big part of it. It was in the Apollo era, and everybody was thrilled about space. But I remember being really, really irritated that there were no women astronauts. And I remember people trying to explain to me why there weren't. I didn't buy it. There are a lot of people who felt left out. They didn't see themselves, and so they didn't see the connection back to them. I've loved science fiction because it allows you to look at people and societies from a different perspective. Star Trek was one of our most hopeful fantasies. It had people from all around the world on the bridge of the ship. And it even had an alien, and it had a woman of color in a technical role, Nichelle Nichols, who played Lieutenant Uhura. It helped me to say, yes, this is something that's reasonable to think about. I wanted to be in an environment that pushed me very hard. So I applied to the astronaut program just a little bit after I got back from Sierra Leone. The Challenger accident happened while my application was in. I got a call from my mother asking me, was I still gonna apply? And I said yes. You know that you're sitting on tons and tons of high explosives. You have to accept there's risk involved. But you have to figure out, what do you want to do more? One of the most vivid memories I have is the shuttles launching.
And liftoff of Endeavour on America's 50th space shuttle flight.
It shakes and it rattles until the solid rocket boosters come out. I remember having this huge grin on my face. About 2 hours after we got on orbit, I looked out the window. No kidding, the first thing I saw from space was Chicago. And I thought about that little girl who grew up in Chicago who would have just been real cheesed up. The perspective that stuck with me is that I am as much a part of this universe as any speck of stardust. That perspective of belonging was what was important to me. The fact that I was the first woman of color in the world to go into space meant that I had a responsibility to use my perspective, my background, to bring a different set of possibilities to the equation.
Please welcome Dr. Mae Jemison.
I'm really thrilled to be here. And what I want to do today is just to share with you how I got to, where is it, don't doubt, dare, and the perspective of how do we make things move forward in women in STEM. So what I'd like to do is to start off with a quote by Zora Neale Hurston, just to put this in context. She said, you know who Zora Neale Hurston was? Okay, so anthropologist and incredible novelist in the 1940s, she said, research is a formalized curiosity. It's a poking and a prying with a purpose. That means what you do makes a difference. Who's looking and poking and a prying makes a difference. Right now, science is cutting a huge swath in our lives, and I'm just going to use the term science to mean STEM and all those other fields that we consider technical that are in there, because whether we talk about going from agriculture to space exploration, electrical grids to how our own nervous system networks work, whether it's washing clothes and looking at ocean currents, right, to climate change, underpinning all of that in terms of our hopes, our dreams, our execution is a lot of science and technology. So who's doing it makes a difference. And so what I want to do is to share a little bit of context about how we make a difference. So when I was growing up, I was in kindergarten. I wrote this book called Find Where the Wind Goes. It was about teenagers, what I would want to know about from my teenage self. And in it, I tell the story about how my kindergarten teacher asked me what I wanted to be when I grew up. She asked all the kids, everybody's waving their hands. People are saying fireman, policeman. Teacher, I said, raised my hand, I said, I want to be a scientist. And she told me, don't you mean a nurse? Now, there's nothing wrong with being a nurse, but in the 1960s, she was helping to try to steer me toward a career that she thought a little African-American girl should be reasonably expected to do. Now, my whole thing was 5 years old, hands on hip, said, no, I mean a scientist, because it seemed as though she didn't think that I knew what a scientist was or what that meant. So I said that. Let me share another story with you. There is, this is not mine, but I was told by this really incredible young African-American woman entrepreneur that when she was applying for a job in Silicon Valley, she was questioned about whether she had a sufficient technical background to work at the place. She had a bachelor's of science degree in electrical engineering from Stanford, but she's being questioned. So there was a whole nurses evaluation of male and female medicine residents, and they were scored on this four different areas. And the nurses were asked to rate the residents, right? There were 50 men and 33 women, and here's what happened. Everybody had the same level of skills, right? They all had scored the same way on their tests and electives, but the nurses said they questioned the ability of 51% of the women and 20% of the men. Everybody was the same. They questioned whether or not the grindstone capabilities of 57% of the women and 24% of the men. So what does all of this connection have to do? This connection has to do with the fact that we go through this all the time. Now, I put up a quote by Zora Neale Hurston to start. I'm reading up a quote now by Frederick Goss. You can read it, but I think what it talks about, and the point I want to get to, is he talks about how sublime science is and the courage to look into it deeply. But women, because of their gender and the prejudices associated with that, when they become established and they penetrate all these, they must have the noblest courage, quite extraordinary talents, and superior genius. This was said in 1807, and if you know, everybody knows Gauss is a mathematician and stuff like that. So this is what we're dealing with. And this has been going on for so long, but practically today, we're still having problems. Some statistics really quickly. A 4-year-old girl in the US has a 29% chance of entering a STEM field, and a 10% chance if she's a girl of color. That's like 3 out of 10, 1 out of 10. That's what we're dealing with now. So that's all the talent we're losing because we're working with less than 50% of the talent we have available, 50% of the perspectives. I wanted to show this slide, and if you looked at it really quickly, you saw a woman welder underneath. And I want to show this job because women have to have almost a bachelor's, a science degree to be able to get out of poverty. Now, we know that everybody is not going to necessarily get or have to get a bachelor's of science degree, but some of the best paying jobs are in skilled technical workers. And we don't actually look at women in skilled technical workers. And this is just really a quick look at what you talk about. And this isn't even the welders and the plumbers and things, right? This is the way we're looking, and this is sort of a breakdown. But why do I want to look at that? I want to see that because women, this is the women in skilled work. In middle skilled occupations, they pay less than $30,000 per year. 83% of the workers are women. In all middle skilled occupation, 55% of the workers are women. In good middle skilled jobs, that pay more than $35,000, women are only 36% of the workers. I bring that up because I know whenever we talk science, people always are talking about PhDs, right, and stuff like that. But I want to be clear on what all of this means and why it's indifferent. Let me just add one other thing to this. I was asked to consult for a fictional movie about women in color and space adventure and little girls, and I said, I know how to do that. I know how to do that. I've been trying to do adventure all my life. I know how to do that. Witness space, everything. So they'll pay attention to me, right? But when I questioned the agency that they were giving the young woman in this fictional movie, they ignored me and they said, oh, well, that might have been that way for you. But I said, wait a minute. When I was 5 years old, I was not an astronaut, right? And girls have that agency. So what I want to do with this is to say, I don't think I can go back. What connects all of those four things is it happens all the time throughout your career. So I've been working with a group of people, and we've been doing a lot of research, and we came up with the different ways of looking at this. And we found out that there is one categorization. The perception of a leaky pipeline is not correct, right? The categorization of you have to fix the women is not correct. The categorization that you can do enough so that no one questions you and no one has the microaggressions against you, no one asks you about your skill sets, that's not true because it happens all your life. So it's really about a gauntlet, right, that you're always running through. And it doesn't matter. You can get up at the top, have a Nobel Prize, you can do all kinds of things, and you still get questioned. And things happen. So what we have to do is really talk about how do you dismantle the gauntlet. And what I want to add with this is that that doesn't mean that people have to like you. that doesn't mean that they have to want you there, right? It means that the attacks against you that happen daily need to have something pulled back on them. That there has to be some things that can happen across organizations, businesses, disciplines, academia, that hold, that make a shift. Now, we came up with ideas about how to impact this incivility, this gender harassment, undermining, questioning evaluations that make women exit. But what we found is that we know that this can be done. World War II, we mobilized so many women where we actually had the same production during World War II that we had before World War II started. And women were doing all these jobs. But then, you know what else they had during World War II? They had community, childcare. They had all of those kinds of things. And the productivity was incredible. Then after the men came back, they said, never mind. We can go back. So what we ended up doing is saying, we know that this is not a matter of you can't do, this is a matter of commitment. It's a matter of commitment. And why is this important? Because we can do this across all kinds of fields. Why is it important that we have women involved? I just want to share with you the work that I do. I put together this project called 100-Year Starship, I may have mentioned a little bit in the intro, and it's about making sure we have the capabilities of human interstellar flight in 100 years. And I was the one that led the team that won the seed funding grant from DARPA, and the name of the grant that won was An Inclusive Audacious Journey Transforms Life Here on Earth and Beyond. And you can be sure that if I had not been leading it, the name would not have been inclusive at the beginning, inclusive across ethnicity, gender, and geography. And then I want you to join me because we have 5 recommendations that can work across people, and it includes accountability as the first one. How do you make people accountable? And I'd like for you to join me there. And the other reason why I want to talk about this is because I just have to throw this up. We're also talking about inclusivity across all kinds of spheres. And we're going to go be in Nairobi working on this because it's around space, purpose, and culture. And space isn't just for rocket scientists and billionaires. If I have any way of including people, I will do that. And that's, And so now, going up with that inclusive, it is my great privilege to have a conversation with a young woman. But first, I want you to watch a video about Alena Analeigh.
Has officially been accepted into the University of Alabama Harrison School of Medicine at 13 years old.
She's the youngest Black student to ever be accepted to medical school.
If everything goes as planned, Alena will be a doctor by the time she's 18.
You know who she's like? Remember Doogie Howser? That show from the 90s? She's like a real-life Doogie Howser.
I really want to leave my mark on the world.
You make us all feel very lazy. On top of it, not very smart.
Alena has already grabbed the attention of NASA, driven by a dream of reaching the stars.
She was always smart, gifted, and she was always ahead. And it was just something about her that I knew that I had to nurture her gift. My mom was a big part of my story because I wouldn't be here without her.
This teen continues to inspire.
Analeigh started an organization called the Brown STEM Girl to engage, empower, and educate other girls of color in science, technology, engineering, and math.
I think she can mentor me to actually be a better person.
Regardless of her age, Alena is giving Black girl magic for the present and the future.
Don't let anybody tell you no, because there was a lot of people who told me no.
Ladies, please welcome Aena Analeigh McQuarter.
They say that you're crazy, but you're chasing the dream, so you misbehaving. Every day they preach, telling us we gotta change.
Good morning.
Good morning.
It's really exciting to be with you here today.
It's an honor.
It's so exciting. And let me tell you why it's exciting. Because I have an opportunity to spend some time with someone who, just like me, when they were growing up, went ahead and did the things that they wanted to do despite what others might have said. So I'm really excited about that.
Me too.
So, can you tell me a little bit about why you like science? Why was science one of the things that captured your imagination at such an early age?
I think I love science because it's just my passion. It's everything that I've loved since I was 3 years old. And it's so big. It's something that you can be so creative in. And I've loved STEM. STEM is where it all started. I've gone to almost every NASA center. I've done things in science that most people say I couldn't do at the age of, who knows, 13 and 12, because that's just what I loved to do.
So I want to get back, and I want you to tell me some of the things that you've talked about, that you've done in science. But first, I want you to just share with us a little bit about how you maintained your determination to do things, even when people told you no.
Well, there are many times that little things can get to me, but I never let that get in the way, because I'm headed for my future, and I'm doing the things that I love, and I'm bringing others with me while I'm doing it. And there are
And what do you see that future as? What if you were to open it up and say, here's what I want to do in the future, what would that be? Or it doesn't have to be a single thing, it can be a bunch of things too.
Yeah, well, the future for me, med school, because I want to become a doctor. I want to do research abroad, and I want to, I want to open a school of STEM for girls of color all over the world. I want to graduate college, because that's the first on my list.
But you've already done 2 degrees, right? Can you tell the audience a bit about the degrees you did and the work that went behind that?
Well, right now I'm pursuing 2 degrees in biological sciences at Arizona State University and Oakwood.
So at Arizona State and Oakwood College in Alabama?
Yeah.
Okay.
And right now I'm going through all of my upper division courses, and I'm in my last year. It's all moving by so quickly, but it's fun while I'm doing it. And it's an amazing experience because I'm doing what I love. And I'm going through school, like, it's just me going through life while I'm doing things that I'm passionate about. Because, graduating at 12, I never thought that would happen, but it did. And now I'm in college, and in the future, I want to pursue research. I want to find cures for diseases all over the world that, who knows, I might be the first person to do it. So.
So I'm trying to understand how you got to college at 12. So I heard that there was something that you took a really non-traditional path, and you had a name for that?
Yeah. Well,
tell them what the name was.
Yeah.
They want to see you. They want you to tell them the name. What did you call it?
Outschooling.
What?
Outschooling. I wasn't in school. It was homeschool for me.
Okay.
It was outschooling. It was something different because I did many different things. I was homeschooled. I was world schooled in Amman, Jordan. And I wasn't stuck in the classroom. I was able to move on my own terms and do everything that I wanted to do while also learning. So it was just kind of me and my mom's own way of learning, our own way of school. And it was amazing because I got to do what I loved. I got to pursue STEM and also learn the basics. I got to do all of the extra courses. I was like, I'm done with this, I want to do this. And my mom knew when I was ready, and she moved me along as I was going. She was my biggest supporter through everything.
So I just want to do a shout out for moms and parents because there's a Yoruba proverb that says even the sharpest blade can't cut its own handle. So we know that you obviously are incredibly talented, incredibly intelligent, but we need someone to help us get there, right? Was there a story about you being in public school and proctoring a test and your mom had to intervene? Can you share with that?
Well, I can't give the exact age because I don't remember the exact age, but while I was in public school, I had a principal that she didn't really believe that girls of color could do anything STEM related. And she accused me of cheating on an exam.
Because you did what, really, really well?
I did well, and I was a young girl of color. And at that moment, I didn't really know what that meant because, I was young. I was just going through school and getting good grades. But now I know what that meant and what she was trying to say, that young girls of color, you don't see young girls of color getting those good grades. You don't see them moving, excelling in STEM or anything that is in the science-related field. And now I know that was just something that was trying to pull me down. But I used that to keep going, and now I'm here.
But there's something really interesting that happened. After they accused you of that, your mother didn't let them get away with that. What happened? I gotta do the shout out because this is like, I feel like I'm channeling my mother.
My mom is the superhero. She swung in and she's like, why can't my little black girl do these things? And she's like, You have no right to accuse my little girl of doing something when you have no proof. She was being proctored, and it doesn't matter that she's a black girl. She can do anything that she puts her mind to. She gave me all of those opportunities.
And then they retested you with somebody in the room, and you did what to the test?
I got it.
You did, say that loud. You aced
I got full points.
And I'm emphasizing this because you would think that from that slide that I showed you right at the beginning, was that, we're not going to say how many years ago, but it was in the 60s, okay, on the south side of Chicago, you would have thought that some of those things would change, right? And that maybe the woman had seen Hidden Figures or something, right? So, do you have any questions for me?
I do. How did it feel being the first woman of color to go to space?
So I never actually thought of it that way. So I just wanted to go into space. If there had been thousands of people had gone up, if there had never been a single person, I wanted to go into space. I didn't want to be an astronaut when I was growing up. I just wanted to go into space. It seems like a semantics game. But what I felt, but it's not. I just thought I was going to be going there to work. It was the 60s, the Apollo program. Of course, I'd be on Mars working, but anyway. You're going to have to be on Mars working for me, okay? Invite me up? All right. But I had a responsibility, right? So my first responsibility is to do my job excellently. And the second was to make sure, once you're going to have a place at the table, to use my position. And you're using yours now with what's the project you do?
My organization, my platform, to give opportunities to girls all over the world, because, I was given those opportunities as a young girl, and now that are helping me for my future, and I want to do the same for those girls.
The name of it, so we're going to plug this.
Right.
Brown Girls in...
It's the Brown STEM Girl.
Brown STEM Girl. See, you can't let anybody else tell your story. So say it really loud.
The Brown STEM Girl.
And where do people find it?
I'm on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn as The Brown STEM Girl, and you can go to my website, thebrownSTEMgirl.com.
Okay. And it's important because I understand that you also did work overseas as well?
We went to the Middle East, Amman, Jordan, and I got to volunteer out there in the refugee camps. And it was an amazing experience because, I was given those opportunities to go and explore my passions in STEM. And now I'm getting to do that with the girls through my program, STEM Abroad, taking them around the world.
So what do you want the audience to do to help?
Well, through my program, giving these opportunities means giving them the representation and giving them just the access to everything in the STEM field. So right now, I love to see donations to these girls because all over the world we see that one thing that girls all over the world are facing is not having the resources. And that's one thing that I was given. I was given those resources to follow my dreams, and now I want to give them back to them. And one thing that we need right now is laptops, computers, just the things that not everyone around the world has, and that's what we need. We need donations, funding for the girls to go all over the world, learn STEM, and really find what they're passionate about in STEM.
Okay. So I want to thank you so much for sharing this with us. And I wonder if there's a shout out that you want to do? You want to let some other folks know what to do?
Yeah.
Do you have a shout out? Go ahead. No? No? I thought you had a shout out to somebody who's coming up, like toy company or something like that.
Mattel.
I understand that, what we want to do is to make sure that these things are codified, and they're not just something that we hear where we tag stuff up, right? and we just sort of say, oh, there's somebody there, and we put them on the show, that we understand how important it is that the work you do and how important it is to have those perspectives. So we're going to do a shout out to
Mattel.
And what do you want them to do?
I'd love to make a doll. Yeah, that's one thing. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking about, you know.
So we're going to
Mattel.
Okay, so we're going to work on that. Thank you so much. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Can I get a hug?
They say that you're crazy, but you're chasing the dream. So you misbehaving. Every day they preach, telling us.
Let's talk about the dream gap. What's that? It's the gap that comes between girls and their full potential. You see, starting at age 5, girls stop believing they can be